Hi sewing friends, welcome to my sewing room. My name is Beth, and if you're new, welcome. Today I have a beautiful vintage quilt behind me. It just has one block that the quilter appliqued the same flower over and over again with some different fabrics, and I'm going to show you how to make that block today. It all started with a book I found at the thrift store. I'm going to show it to you right now. Let's get started. Here's the book I found at the thrift store. It was $1 and I purchased it, of course, and thumbed through and found a quilt pattern that reminded me a lot of a quilt that I have here in my home that was given to me a while back by a friend. The sashing is exactly the same, and I thought the flower was the same, but the flower is slightly different. I really like this flower pattern, but here's the quilt that I own. Just a really similar quilt with a similar pattern. And I'm going to show you how to make the flower that goes with my quilt. There is another difference with this pattern. My quilt is on point and the pattern in the book is not. The quilt block I'll be sharing today is a 6-petaled flower, a very, very simple flower. So what I had to do to make my own pattern was to fold my paper in half, and then I folded it in thirds diagonally. So I have those diagonal folds in my paper, and this doesn't need to be exact. This is just a flower, and remember, flowers aren't always perfectly symmetrical. So I measured up 3 inches from that point, and then I just drew a very gentle curve. That's the top of my petal, and then I just curved down on both sides, and then I trimmed along that line, and I was able to get a very simple 6-petaled flower. Two more elements to my little quilt pattern here, but this is my flower, and you can see we're not super healthy eaters all the time at our house. Sometimes we have sugary cereal, and this cereal box makes a great pattern template with my little paper pattern. I just drew that flower onto the cardboard and I cut it out. Then I drew my circle, which is a 2-inch diameter circle. You could look around for something circular to give yourself a perfect circle, but I didn't worry too much about that. Last element to my applique quilt block here are these funny looking leaves for my flower, and they are 3.5 inches tall. And I drew myself a little broken line there to show where it will be covered by the flower. So I cut my paper pattern out. Now this is just hand drawn, and I'll make this 4 times. I'll be doing these two of the elements a little bit different on this applique project. Each of these quilt blocks has 2 different fabrics, so I will only need 2 fabrics for my flower quilt block. I'm going to use a pencil and draw around my template here, and then I will be cutting it out, leaving myself about 1/4 to 1/2 inch excess all the way around, away from that pencil mark. And I'm giving myself a little mark right there because I want to put these pieces together the same way when I go to press. there, so I'm going to match those together so I have the template arranged the same way I did before, and I'm just going to go around, push that edge over my template and press. And this is a very gentle curve. I wasn't sure I would need to trim at the valley of the curve, but I went ahead and added a little snips in the valley of those little curves. I didn't go all the way down, but that might help the fabric just roll over my template. After doing a little pressing, I thought I would try, maybe it would be better with some starch, some spray starch. So I protected my pressing mat and I sprayed the flour, the underside of the flour. I put the template back on the flour and I pressed all the way around, and that does help the edges stay put. If you don't have it, it still works even without spray starch, but spray starch helps out a little bit. I did the same thing with the center of the flower. I drew around the template and then I left myself enough room to turn the fabric under for applique. Now for these leaves of my flower, I am going to be doing this just a little bit differently. I have my template, my pattern, and I put it on the right side of the fabric, and I'm using a pencil to mark. Pencils are very safe on fabric. Pencil mark washes out, and so I'm always comfortable using pencil on my fabric. And then again, I left myself a little extra for my applique seam, and I cut out my leaf, and then I did that 3 more times. I need 4 of these leaves for my applique pattern. For the leaf section, I do need to snip right to the center of those V's, and that will help everything turn under when I applique. I laid out my applique pieces to see what it might look like, and then I basted the 4 leaf pieces on so that they stay in place as I go around and turn those edges under and applique them on. When my pink leaves were basted, I went around and tucked under the edges and I appliqued all the way around. And since the bottom of these leaf sections will be under the flower, I didn't need to turn under the bottom of the leaves. I removed my basting stitches, and then I put the flower right on top of my pretty pink leaves. I also basted this flower in place before starting. I just think it holds it in place pretty well as you work around. And the last thing I did was I added the center to my flower. This is a really pretty little simple applique project that you can do. You can draw your own. You're going to feel so accomplished when you say, I drew it, I sewed it on, it's all mine. If you prefer that other pattern, it's in the book and I'll have the link below. But this is such a pretty quilt. Thank you for sewing along with me today, and I'll see you next time.